I'm John Guest and welcome to Safety Shield.
Hi everybody, it's Jeff Schofield, UK Plant Operator. I'm joined today and I've been welcomed at Safety Shield by John Guest. John's a founder of Safety Shield and we're really just keen to sort of catch up, find a little bit more about your business, John, and about your story. So perhaps we could start there. How did Safety Shield start, form, and what's the backstory to this business?
Well, to be honest, it's a bit of an unusual one. So my background's not technology at all. So I've worked in construction all my life since I was 16. I started my own company when I was 20. So I used to do a lot of work for United Utilities with, for about 10 years, we worked for UU doing cross-country pipelines, tunnelling, we did a lot of shaft sinking, that side of stuff. So, we're heavy in the construction game for deep excavations, that side of stuff. And unfortunately, a guy, a mate of mine, working on another site, nothing to do with us, but it was, he got crushed and killed by an excavator. So we just looked at what we could do to make our own guys safe around the plant. So it was nothing, we were never looking to bring it into a business or a product or anything. It was just something to keep our guys safe. So we started tinkering around, myself and one of the other directors who's been with me now 25 years. So again, construction background. So we started playing around with garage door openers, if you like. Okay. So it was an RFID garage door opener. So we created a basic tag system, and there's quite a few of these systems out there now, but there wasn't anything at the time. So we developed this system, very simple. A tag on your hard hat, a tag receiver in the machine, and if you got too close, it would give you a bit of a warning that the driver and obviously the guy on the deck. But it wasn't very accurate. It wasn't great, but it was better than what we had. And then we were actually working on a job sinking a shaft in Henley's Corner in London. And when Boris was mayor at the time, he'd come on the job and seen what we were doing with this. And I don't know why he was there, but he saw what we were doing with this tagging system and said, could you do that for Boris Bikes? Wow. And I stupidly said yes. Yeah. So and we sort of went from there. We started working with the Mayor's office a lot and Transport Research Laboratory, trying to create something that would work with these cycles in London for HGVs. Not that I ever wanted to get into that, but it was a long journey, and in the end, the London Cycling Campaign started to work with it and said, look, you're never going to tag every cyclist in London. Yeah. So, it's a no-goer. And I agreed with them. How are you going to do it? You're going to make it more unsafe. Okay. So we started to look at, we'd gone on a journey for that long, what other technology was out there. So we started to work with an overseas company that was doing AI technology for automotive vehicles. So we worked with them. I became their distributor on the side. We were still running the construction company. It was just a bit of a sideline. And we started to mess around with the tech and see if we could make it work for HGVs. Because at the time, it was just an ADAS camera that fitted in the front windscreen for lane departure and headway collision. So we got it working on the side of a HGV for cyclists. And Boris launched it at City Hall with Amy, the refuse trucks. Yeah. And we started to work with Sainsbury's and a few other people, but it really wasn't my ambition, and it's not something I wanted to do. So, and I very naively thought I could bring this system from the automotive industry, put it on an excavator, and it would work exactly the same. Okay. Well, it went from about 99% accuracy down to about 40% accuracy.
And what was the reason for that?
Because, well, we started to learn that it's the ever-changing backgrounds. We got a lot of false alerts as well, so it was picking up cones, it was picking up fence posts, It was picking up all sorts, because it wasn't used to that environment. So we took on a team of developers, about 4 or 5 of them, to train the model. And we thought we could probably do this in about a year. It took 7 years.
What year was this? Where are we in time now?
It started off in 2012. Right. And then we literally took it to a point where we were almost getting there accuracy-wise, but we didn't have enough video data to train it. So we started to work with Balfour Beatties, later on EKFB on HS2, and they let us film the environment and the area to train the model further, which really expedited the process. And we launched it, we tried to launch it to market in 2018, but it was still below 90%. And then we finally released it 3 years ago with Balfour Beatties, who then mandated this technology across the industry. We're now at about 99, well, it's not about, we are at 99.6% and 0.05 false alerts, which is the main thing. So it's not, the accuracy, yes, we need it, but it's the false alerts that annoy the driver or constantly going off. We wanted to create something that wasn't picking all these other different objects up.
When it went off, you've got a problem, not you might have a false alert.
Exactly. It should be quiet. It should be quiet the whole time until a person is in that zone. So
if I just take you back to those, let's call them those pioneering days, were you a pioneer at that time? Was there much else in the market? Were you leading the field?
Well, there was quite a lot in automotive, so there was stuff.
But in construction?
Nothing.
Right.
There was absolutely nothing, and we believe that worldwide because we did. I didn't want to. We're not developers. We're not tech guys. We're construction. So we used to sitting on plant for 12 hours a day and digging. We didn't want this annoying beeping going off in your ears all the time. So the only things out there at the time were ultrasonics and radar, and that's what they do, pick everything up. So we didn't want that. We tried to find an AI solution out there that we could retrofit and just use ourselves, because again, we weren't looking to bring this to market. So nothing, we couldn't find anything. So this is when we started to develop our own, a long process.
So the whole research and development has been done in this country by you and by your tech team?
Yeah, so I started to develop the tech team and R&D and development team because, like I say, I know what I want the tech to do. I've learned a lot over the years, but at the time I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know anything about AI. It was relatively new as well, AI, coming into this scenario. So yeah, we built a good team. We employed some high-end developers who started to work with Balfour's mainly and HS2 to try and get this tech to work properly for the operator, because like I go back to what I said before, it's hard enough sat in that cab for 10 or 12 hours a day anyway, and you're trying to concentrate on what you're doing.
You've been there and you've seen it. And
I have, and that's, excuse me, that's been the issue, is trying to find it so he can still get on with his job. It's not reliant on technology, but it's just that second eye that's looking behind him, and there are a lot of blind spots on these machines.
Of course.
I know we've got 360 cameras and mirrors and all the rest of it, but there is still blind spots and people can get crushed. So we wanted to try and eliminate that in a way that wasn't annoying, basically.
Okay. So we've had a good story here of the passion that you bring to this because of the circumstance that you referred to at the start of this conversation, how you've developed that and built that and created that in the UK and sort of pioneered in this field. Now you've said a couple of things there, and I think when we hear AI and a lot of us will think we know about it, a lot of us will not know about it. Just explain to us what it is that AI is doing and what it has done to your business and what you think it's going to do for your business going forwards.
As in the product, or is it? Yeah. So the product itself is, the reason we started to look at AI particularly was because you can train AI to recognise anything you want it to recognise. So we wanted to filter out other objects, and initially, well, I'll come on to this in a minute, but initially we didn't want to recognise buildings or other plant vehicles, piles of muck,
so
anything like that.
Programming in your development that's using AI to speed up and improve the accuracy of that development work. Yeah,
so the AI at the time was very slow to try and develop this sort of stuff. So we literally had 6 people sat in front of the computer screens telling the system that is a person or that is not a person. It was that laborious of a job that they had to sit there all day, every day, just telling it to do that. And we got through quite a few people doing this because it was very boring. And like I said, that took 7 years. Now, it's a lot easier to train a model now, but the problem is you have to have the footage. You could train a model out here at the back in the yard or in anywhere you want to. Yeah, and you'll take it onto site, and it doesn't act like that. So you've got to have that footage, and we've got just over 20,000 units in the market now that's feeding video footage, millions and millions of videos every week back into our data centre in Manchester. So we have a semi-training model through AI, which is learning then, but you still have to go through the process of manual verification. So once the AI speeds up the initial part, but you've still got to then test a percentage of that with a human to make sure that it's actually training it as it should be, because you could go off a path where the AI thinks it's doing well and it's going in the wrong direction.
Right,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. So let's talk about the data now that you're producing and sharing. What do you? Where was adoption when this first started in the industry? Where is it now, and how close is it to it being all-consuming and that everybody recognises the importance and knows what to do with it and gets a good result as a consequence of that?
It's changed a lot, to be honest. Yeah, it's when we first got the system out with the data, nobody wanted the data; they just wanted an alert, which I could understand. We had to go through a rigorous GDPR and data security, and we've recently passed 27,001 for the data security side of things. But and that changes with country, with states, with all sorts of different areas. Now, when I say it's changed, we had nobody wanted the data. Now then, everybody wanted the data because they wanted to try and change the behaviour. Because let's be honest, that's what it's all about.
Absolutely, I was going to comment on that.
You know, and it's not technology that you should rely on. Nobody should. It's trying to change the behaviour of people on site, not to go near that machine to a point where eventually in the future you shouldn't need technology like this.
Yeah.
And we've seen now that everybody took the data on, but then the problem was we had a second problem of we've got all this data. What are we going to do with it? Because there's a lot of data that comes through, and it's time, date, location, video footage of the incident incursion. You've got a thumbnail photograph of the incursion, and trying to piece all that together on a, say, Balfour Beatty, for example, or any large contractor. They've got hundreds of sites across the country that all this data is coming through, and how do we deal with this? So we don't want to be dealing with it in 2 months' time because something could happen in that period. So we've just, well, we're about to launch on the 1st of September. We've done recent trials now with a company called Amco Giffen as part of the Renew Group, and a guy called Chris English who led that, ex-Balfour Beatty, came into Amco as head of health and safety. He's been trialling this, and within a month period, this app has reduced, just on one site, red zone incursions by 88%.
Right.
So that data then is shrunk down. So what the app basically does is puts the onus in the hands of the people on site. So your black hats or your foremen or your works managers, they get the app on them. And when the actual alerts come through on the phone, it comes through as a notification. And they have to action those alerts.
Right.
So once they're actioned, it goes back onto the portal and it mirrors what's on the app. So when, say, the health and safety director at the end of the month gets this report, it's all categorised already.
Okay.
You don't need a full fleet of data analysts sat in your office, and this has always been the problem.
So me as a supervisor will get an alert on my app, on my phone, to tell me that something's just happened that may cause an incident.
Yeah.
And it's for me then to go and speak to that operator and see what the circumstances were around that incident, and then put in a process to rectify, was that where there was fault or where there's a change in the process.
Exactly, and it's not always the fault of the guys on the ground or the operator. A lot of the times we find out that the site's not set out correctly, the walkway's in the wrong place, and it could be something as simple as that. And by rectifying or moving that walkway, you've just taken the danger away. So we're not getting any more alerts. But because they've actioned it, now if they don't action it, it then moves up to their supervisor, and it keeps going up the chain of command within a time period that they can set themselves on the app. And you can have that can go from boots on the ground to board level if you want to. So it's a really good verification process, and it gets the guys understanding why they're getting these alerts.
Absolutely.
You know, it's like I say, you can't always blame them, and it's not always their fault.
Yeah, but as you say, from the plant operator's point of view, if they understand why, they're going to appreciate that this is, you know, a process now that's going to make that site safer. So this is this a trial you just referred to with Amco? This is on this app. This is just for them at this moment in time. But do you see this as a this is a rollout? Yeah.
So what we've done it in a period so that it was Chris English's idea. It wasn't our idea. So he came to us and said, "Look, this is what we want to create." Right. We thought it was a great idea because we were getting a lot of obviously calls from people about how much data everyone's getting and what we can do with it. So Chris came up with this. We worked with him to refine. We came up with some ideas, so did they. Yeah. We asked different people in industry as well. And then we've got it to a point where it's working great. And Chris said, right, we're going to mandate it, so they're pushing it across the whole
And that's
business.
so important, isn't it? That
Yeah.
the client takes that seriously and
Yeah.
it becomes part of their policy. And what was the number that you said in there that they've reduced incidents by? Or
Just in a month, 88%.
wow,
Which is huge.
yeah,
You know, and it's the same guys on the same side
yeah,
doing the same work.
thing.
They've,
Wow.
they've changed a bit of the layout.
Yeah.
They've spoke to them, and it's just gone away.
Well, we'll leave that bit there, but there is a great video on the Safety Shield website that you can see the interview with Chris, I think, as you're
Yeah,
referring to
yeah.
there. So do go and search Safety Shield, look at the video. It's in the news section on there, so that's great. Let's just turn finally, if I may, just to the product solutions that you're offering now. What is it that what are the products, what are the solutions that you're offering now? If you don't mind just running us through what they are.
Yeah, well, what we've tried to do from the start is make Safety Shield a solution where if you invest in it initially for the human form recognition and the alerting side of it, and then we develop something else, you're not having to keep.
Right.
You've not wasted your initial investment. So, unlike any other system that we know about, there's a lot coming to market now, and it's creating a good industry for everybody. But where we're different is we have a central computer. You'll see a lot of systems that are just chip on cameras, where we have a central computer that we've designed so that, we've just brought. We've just been working on for the last couple of years. We're about to bring it out with a few people. Is the auto stop, so it's semi-autonomous.
Right.
If it's not tied into a machine control or a dead man or anything like that, it's working independently through the CAN bus into the machine.
Right.
And we'll only be able to do that because we've got the computer on board. We've got stuff like IntelliScreen, where the new screen in the cab, it's not a visual screen, it's an operator, so we can remove a lot of the peripherals out of the cab, like the thumbs up button and the overriding key switch to turn alarms off at night and stuff like that. Everything can be done through this screen, which is programmed again through the computer. So there's 3 or 4 new bits we're going to launch. Can't say too much yet, but they're going to be a bit groundbreaking when they do. But it's an add-on to the computer that we've got inside the cab.
Well, that's great, isn't it? That from the core, the evolution of your product still comes back to the core, doesn't it? You're actually building on that. It's not some software that I've now got to dispose of and start the whole process.
Exactly. It's a big outlay for any size of plant company. So that's the path we started on, and that's what we're continuing to do, is to just upgrade the system with different features. You don't have to have them; they're just add-ons if you want them to, but they will all tie into this same computer-based Safety Shield host, if you like, that's in the cab.
Okay. I was going to ask you what's next, but you're not going to tell me, are you?
I can't say too much now.
But what the point is, I think you're making, and I can see from the smile on your face that you know that you've got in R&D some great new products that you're going to be bringing out. And when we're likely to see those? I
think majority will be out before the end of Q1 next year. Some are coming out this year. The app is being launched officially to everybody on the 1st of September. Yeah. So the app will be out there. But the add-on features to the actual system for the mechanics of it and everything else, you will see a couple this year. The rest will be before the end of Q1 next year.
I did say finally, but and finally. What would you say to somebody now that might be watching this and looking at this, that kind of you've perked their interest? What would you ask them to do? What would you like them to do? Not just come to you and buy a system, but what should they be doing next, do you think, on that sort of voyage of discovery to find the right solution for them?
Well, what I would say is it's all about behavioural science and behavioural change at the end of the day. And whatever tool you can use to change that has got to be for the better. Now, we have, obviously here, you've seen we do demonstrations here, so we can go to people's sites. We've got a lot of training guys driving around with doing familiarisation training on site for existing customers. We can also go to sites and give them a demonstration at their site. Now, there's a lot of plant-eye companies, a lot of the tier ones that have already fitted quite a lot of the systems. So what we have done with some new customers is say, well, look, we can get you a machine on site that's already got the system fitted, have a look at it. We've not done a trial yet with a customer that hasn't reduced incursions by at least 50%.
Wow.
And some of them a lot more. Now, the way we've done that is we run it for a week or 2 weeks, whatever it is. After that, go in and do a toolbox talk with them, but show them why we've got this video footage. We can see what you're doing, have a talk with them, come back 2 or 3 weeks later, and then show them again. And that's when we get the massive reductions. You can't just put technology on, chuck it on and expect it to work. You've got to work with them, and that's the main side of it for us. The familiarisation training that we are doing on a daily basis, we've got guys going out all over the country doing this training, and it makes such a big difference because, like I say, you'll have a different driver maybe every week at some points, and they get on, they've never seen it before. We're also working with CITB at the moment, and we have been for quite a couple of years now, because what we want to do with that as well is new guys coming into the industry, well, they should know about it straight away before they even get near a machine. You know, whichever technology it is, just something of why we've got this kind of technology on machines and what it's doing for them, basically.
John, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah,
Thanks very much indeed.
Cheers, thank you.